and was like, am I a bad friend? Like, am I the drama? Like, am I doing something wrong? Like, why am I losing all of my friendships? Hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all. It's your girl Key Simone and welcome back to my channel. Now I know it's been a while, been a little minute. I've just been like swamped, like insane. Traveling for work, Howard homecoming, I got sick, I had a hair emergency. It's just so much going on. And because I work a full-time corporate baddie job, I can only film on the weekends, and then I have to edit and then get it published. I just like haven't had a free weekend in so long, but we're back and I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to see y'all and I'm so ready to chat with you guys about today's topic. And I will say I'm a little nervous because I've only talked about this with like my close friends, family, and my therapist, but it's been something that I've really been struggling with over really the past couple years, and that is building new friendships in my 30s. And so this past year I have really just grown so much and have redefined who I am and how I show up in the world on so many levels. I really feel like I've rediscovered my girlhood, really womanhood, but girlhood just sounds cuter. And like so much of me has changed. I do my makeup differently. I have dressed differently. I've really kind of leaned into my everyday work style and have put a lot of effort into that. And I've gotten so many compliments. I gotta do an update video about that. I got in a new apartment. I got a new position at work. I'm in a new relationship. Like so much about my life has changed. But the one thing that I have really struggled with is my friendships. In particular, my everyday friendships. So I feel like there's obviously so many different categories of friends that you can have. So you have like your lifelong high school friends that no matter what, no matter how much y'all don't talk on a daily basis, you guys always are there for each other. They'll probably be in your wedding. Then you have like your college friends and your adult friends. But then you have those like everyday best friends that you talk to every day. You text them, you FaceTime. Let's go get our nails done. Let's go get our hair done. Like that's the person that you kind of are like with 24/7. Like if you see me, you see her. And if you see her, you see me. That type of friend. I haven't had that type of friend in about 3 years. And even though this is something that I've been kind of struggling with for the past couple years, I never plan to talk about it publicly. Obviously, I've had private conversations with like friends and family. I've also talked about it on my burner TikTok account, but I never plan to make a YouTube video about it because I do think it's a little embarrassing to like being in your 30s and not having like any close girlfriends. I think that people are pretty judgmental about women who don't have close girlfriends at this age because like what's wrong with you that you don't have friends? And trust me, I've asked myself those questions in therapy many times. But I do feel like this is something that many women my age can relate to. I also saw a TikTok video, as always, where this young girl who was in her 20s was saying like, I feel like I have met my lifelong friends and I'm not interested in building any new friendships because, you know, I met my girl. I commented and was like, that's probably one of the worst decisions that you could make because I had the exact same mindset when I was in my 20s and now here I am in my 30s without sisterhood. So let's dig into it. So I think the way in which I have approached friendships rooted in me transferring schools when I was an undergrad. So when I started school, college, I was always very popular, always in the in crowd. I always had a whole bunch of friends. I always had a whole bunch of really close girlfriends. And that was just kind of like how I socialized. And that's exactly what I did when I went to my first school, College of Charleston. And what came with that was just so much drama. The amount of drama that I was in my freshman year was just like insane. So it came to a point where it was really overwhelming because during that time, I also was coming out as gay. So just imagine like realizing that your sexuality is completely different, but then also dealing with a ton of drama that you can't control but always kind of finds you. So when I transferred to Howard University, the middle of my sophomore year, my plan was to go there and solely focus on academics. I knew that Howard was known for their on-campus social life as much as their academics, but I wanted no parts because I really was trying to avoid being in any drama. So to avoid drama, I didn't move on campus. I didn't join any on-campus social club, and Howard has so many of them. I didn't go to anything other than like homecoming and school C activities because I was a part of school C. I actually did not do any on-campus activities until my senior year of high school when I was the director of public relations for the School of Communications, and I only applied for the position because I saw that it paid. Otherwise, I went on campus to go to class and I left, and my social life was pretty much off campus. I met a lot of people through my job and through social media because like that was a thing at the time. But the few friends that I met at Howard, I met them through classes, and I'm friends with all of them still today. But I really wasn't a part of like the Howard social life because I just was trying to avoid drama. And from that move, I also decided that I didn't want to hang out with big groups of people anymore because I felt like it came with a lot of drama. So I was like, I'm just going to focus on like one or two girls that I'm really close with and kind of just hang out with them. And I had already had a best friend from my last school that I was still constantly talking to and vacation with and doing things with, even though we lived in two different cities. And then I met a few people on campus that I really got along with. And that basically was my perspective around friendships for the entirety of my 20s. So even though I had all these different group of friends from different parts of my social life, so school, work, social media, they never hung out with each other with me in big groups unless it was like my birthday or homecoming. Otherwise, I would just hang out with them individually and have very individual relationships with them. But I would have like one or two girls that I was like super, super close with on like a daily basis and talk to them every day and did everything with them. Those were the only people that I would vacation with, go to concerts with, like anything that was like life moments you wanted to remember, one or two girls. I also wasn't interested in creating any new friendships or any new dynamics that already did not exist in my life. And it made me come off as like very unfriendly and pretty bitchy, to the point where like my friends would be like, we don't invite you out because you're just like not friendly enough to people. And I just did not understand for the longest time why I had to be so engaging with strangers. I feel like as long as I speak to you and say hello and I'm not like outwardly rude to you, that should be enough. But people like want to have conversation, they want to kiki, they want to take shots, and I just like would not engage with anyone who was not my friends. Like it was to the point where I would be at the bars with my friends, and if my friends were occupied doing something, talking, dancing, going to the bathroom, I would just sit there and not say anything and not speak to anyone until my friends came back. And it just became like a part of my personality and a part of my idealism. I felt like I had found my friends, I had found my soulmates, I had had my best bitches that I love and talk to every day. And I didn't really need to expand on that friend group. I had people that I talked to every day, and I had my friends that I talked to every now and then and did stuff with. And I felt like I had a very well-rounded friend group, and I wasn't interested in adding to that. This perspective that I had that I felt very confident in and solid in really backfired on me once I got to my late 20s, because my friendships that I had and held so dear to my heart started to change. And for many reasons. Some of it was drama that you just can't avoid, and differences of opinions and people growing apart, and like misunderstandings, and the fact that like a lot of us didn't have the emotional intelligence at that time to talk through our issues when we had them with our friends. So we just kind of like ghosted each other or stopped hanging out as much or distancing ourselves from each other without explanation. And just like life started to change. But these were friendships that I genuinely did not ever see me not having. I thought that these were girls that like were going to be my best bitches for the rest of my life, that were going to be by my side when I got married, that were going to be the godmother to my children that I don't want to have anymore, that like these were people that I talked to every single day, all day, text about the most dumbest things. Like I just couldn't imagine life without them, because like growing up, I wasn't super close to my parents. I wasn't close to my siblings. My friends were my family. They were my lifeline. That was my community. And I could not imagine it not being that way. But I kid you not, all of those like very close everyday friendships started to fall apart back to back to back to back. It was like one friendship ended then in 2018, another friendship ended at the beginning of 2019, another friendship started to end at the beginning of 2019. Then the pandemic happened. Obviously, like, nobody was really hanging out with each other. We all were kind of like in our own bubble. I was in a relationship at the time, so I like quarantined with my ex and then like just was with my family and saw one other friend. And that friendship ended in early 2022. And so by the end of that friendship, it had been quite literally 4 friendships that were really important to me that had ended. And I was just like, oh, bitch, you might be the problem. Because at the end of the day, no matter why those friendships ended, whether it was communication, drama, disrespect, whatever it was, I was the common denominator because I was all of their friends and I'm the one who lost those friendships. It wasn't like they were all friends with each other or we were all in one big friend group and we all fell out. No, I had all of these individual relationships that ended right behind one another. And so I really had to like take a step back, knock on my therapist's door and start doing some self-work because I'm like, I have to be not showing up in the right way in these friendships for them to be ending like this. There's something that I'm doing wrong. There's something that I'm just not being honest about, whether it's with myself or with these other people in the relationship that I'm a part of. There's something that is unhealthy about the way that I'm approaching these friendships. And there's something that I can do to better show up as a friend. I just didn't talk to my therapist. I talked to my family about it who has seen me in these friendships and show up as a friend to these other people. I have talked to my other friends who I maybe didn't have that like everyday relationship with, but was still extremely close with, and they knew who I was as a person and was like, am I a bad friend? Like, am I the drama? Like, am I doing something wrong? Like, why am I losing all of my friendships? Like, someone explain this to me. And through those conversations, I learned that, yeah, there were some really unhealthy habits that I had with these friendships. I genuinely felt like a lot of these women were my soulmates, my platonic soulmates. But I was treating them like I was in this platonic relationship, and that's just not really a healthy way to approach friendship. You obviously should be able to lean in on your friends and depend on your friends, but there has to be a balance and there has to be boundaries, and I just like did not have them. And then there was obviously stages of like growing apart and moving in different directions that I just couldn't accept. Like, when you're friends with somebody for a really long time, it's hard to imagine them not in your life, even if like you guys become different people. And there were some friendships that I probably held on to much longer than I needed to because I just wasn't ready to accept that, like, oh, we're not best bitches the same way anymore. Like, we're different people. We want different things. We're moving in different paths. And like, that doesn't mean that you don't have to be friends. It just changes the dynamic of your friendships. And I had a really hard time accepting that. And I think that lack of acceptance turned into drama and pain and sadness in a way that ended certain friends. And so taking that step back was just very necessary for me. But it also was really hard because I was mourning the loss of these relationships that I had for a really long time. During that time, I also started to push myself to be more social. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, being a party promoter, that has to be a part of your personality. And it just like wasn't a part of my personality. And at first, I didn't really notice it and it didn't really impact me. But that particular year, the summer of 2022, we were throwing parties like every single week. And so I was just in social settings at a much larger scale than I was before. And I had to show up and I struggled with it. I also started to get offended because people weren't recognizing that I was also throwing the parties. All of the credit for the parties were going to my business partners, and not because of them, but because I wasn't putting myself out there. I would literally run from the camera because I didn't like the way I would show up in photos. And so we would promote these parties and I was never in pictures. So people never knew who I was. They literally did not know that like that girl who's taking us to the table is actually throwing the parties, because I would not say anything more than like, okay, follow me, I'll go get the bartender, here's the menu. Like, I kept it very business. So I remember having a conversation with one of my best friends about it, who's also my business partner, complaining that I wasn't getting credit for throwing these parties. And she was like, listen, like, me and Fresh can make sure that the club owners and bartenders and like, you know, other DJs that we work with know who you are, and they give you that respect and like understand your authority here. But we can't make you be more social with the people who come to our parties. Like, you have to do that. We can't do that for you. Like, we can't engage with the people who are attending our parties for you. And so I was like, facts. That's true. So during that time, while I was like in therapy, having those hard conversations and doing that self-work, I also was pushing myself to be more social without kind of like knowing that a good girlfriend was there for me to kind of like run to if I didn't want to talk to somebody. I was going to the parties basically on my own, because before then I always brought a bitch with me. I was always walking in with like 2-3 bitches, okay? And we turn up and we having a good time. But at that time, I didn't have 2-3 bitches to walk in with, okay? I didn't. So I started to show up by myself and socialize and really engage with people in a way that I just haven't before. So it was really great, almost like exposure therapy, because while I was in therapy working on how I was falling short in my friendships and why my friendships were ending the way that they were, I was in the real world pushing myself to be more social and be more engaging in a way that I never had before. During that time, I also pushed myself not to try to just get another everyday best friend, right? Like, I decided that instead of finding another girl for me to talk to every single day, I'm going to instead focus on being more social and also being more present and intentional in the other friendships that I already had in my life. I was like re-engaging with these friendships that I had always had and were always healthy for me. So after like a year of doing all this self-work, talking to my therapist, talking to my friends, being more intentional with other friendships, being more social out in the streets, I was ready to pursue sisterhood again. I was ready to have a best friend again. I'm like, I'm a better person. I'm a better version of myself. I'm a better friend. I'm going to approach this in a much healthier way. I have a better balance on everything. Like, I am ready to do this again because I'm a girl's girl and I love having best bitches, and I miss girls tripped and I miss all the things that come with like having a girl tribe. And let me tell you, it is about to be 2025 and I don't have that sisterhood. I don't have a everyday best friend. Another femme or a girly girl who I can talk to about hair and nails and girls and going to happy hour and the movies and this and that. I haven't had that. I haven't been able to find it again. And it has been really hard on me. And I honestly don't know what to do about it. It's not to say that I have not tried. I definitely have put myself out there a couple times, even though it's so uncomfortable for me. And it feels a little desperate to be like, hey, do you want to be my friend? Do you want to hang out? But I have tried. But I think what I've run into personally, and this is just my experience, is that at this age, so many women have already found their tribe. They already have their best friends. They already have those like really established relationships. They're not going through what I'm going through. So they're not as eager or open in building those new dynamics as I am, because it takes work. You can't just say, hey, we get along, I think you're fun and cute, let's text and chat. You have to like be intentional about building that relationship, hanging out, doing stuff, quality time. Like for me, quality time is a love language, both in my romantic relationships and in my friendships. Like, I love a friend who wants to hang out and do stuff. I miss just going to my bitch's house and just chilling, watching TV, being on our phone, drinking wine, whatever. I love quality time. And so I feel like I would meet someone who I really got along with, we would exchange numbers, and we'd be like, hey, I think I can be your friend, let's hang out. But all we would really do is just like text and talk on the phone from here and there and not really like spend the time together. And like the things that I want to do with a girlfriend, they were kind of already doing with their established friends. Or a lot of times I would meet other femmes through my masculine presenting friends, like girls that they were dating, and we would naturally just kind of like start hanging out because we just would be around each other. But then when they break up with me too. They be breaking up with me too. And I get it, it's like hard to like hang out with like your ex's girl best friend or femme best friend. Like, I'm always around them and then you're around me and it's awkward. Like, I get it, but it does suck because it's just like, okay, like, how else do I meet women like me? Like, how else am I to meet other Black feminine lesbians who have the same interests as I have and want to hang out and do the things I do? I haven't really been able to like bounce back. And it's been hard because it's never been hard for me to make friends until now. Like when I was younger, even as bitchy as I was seen, I made friends so easily. I adapted so easily. It's because I grew up overseas, moving from base to base. I know how to make a friend in a new environment. It was nothing to me. But then when I got to college and I felt like I found my platonic soulmates and my lifelong friends, it stopped making sense for me to even try to create friendships, to try to create sisterhood. I just wasn't interested. And now here I'm in my 30s, fucking struggling. Struggling. And the first year I was in therapy, working on myself, pushing myself to be social, so it didn't matter. The next year, things kind of slowed down, but I had gotten to grad school, so a lot of my weekends was dedicated to doing homework anyways. I didn't really have time to be too social outside of like the parties I threw in grad school, because grad school was just so time consuming. But now here we are in year 3, almost year 4, because the year is almost over, and I still feel lonely. I feel lonely, and it's been hard. Like, I'm going to be very honest and very blunt. This is something that I have cried about, continue to cry about. I have had so many conversations with my therapist, with my girlfriend, with my other friends. Like, this is something that I'm struggling with because I'm just so used to having that community, that girl tribe. I have never been in a space where like my girlfriend is my best friend, but she is the person who I talk to every single day. I make her talk about things that she's not interested in because I don't have anyone else to talk to it about. And I just like never imagined that I would be that girl where like my partner is my best friend and she's the only person I hang out with. Like, I never imagined that, but that's who I am. And I'm going to be honest, I don't love it. I don't love that, like, if I don't have a party and she's not here with me or I'm not here with her, I'm just at home by myself. And I understand that some people will see this video and say, well, like, you should be able to spend time for yourself. You should be able to love yourself. I do, okay? Something about Key, this Leo, I love me and I treat me right, okay? I take myself out to dinner. I take myself out to the movies. I take myself to massages. I buy myself expensive things all the time. I love me. I love spending time with me. But it's been like 3 years of me. I want some friends. And, you know, just to clarify, it's not that I don't have friends. I have so many great people in my life who are such good friends to me, but the dynamics that we have are just very different. Or they have moved away, or they are married with kids. You know what I mean? It's a different, you know, type of friendships that you have with people, and that just like everyday person I haven't had in many years. And again, like, I just don't know how to change it. And so it's been really hard for me because I'm very like a solution oriented person. I identify the problem, I think through what the solution could be, all the scenarios, and then I pick the best one and I solve the problem. I can't solve this problem. This makes me regret the perspective that I had around building new friendships and being open to new connections when I was younger so much. Not being social on a campus like Howard where there were hundreds of women like me who I could have created sisterhood with. Like, I just chose the polar opposite of that. And it definitely is impacting my life now in my 30s. A lot of my friends who I've talked to about this have encouraged me to like reach out to them more and ask them to hang out more and like just, you know, create those spaces for us because they're available for me. I just like don't want to force a friendship on them that we didn't have before because I'm lonely. And so I'm just like trying to navigate that. And, you know, it's been hard because I feel like I have so many great things in my life, and this year has been so monumental for me personally. It sucks sometimes that I don't have someone to celebrate with that's not my girlfriend. But I just trust that eventually things will balance out for me, and that I guess when God determines that I'm ready for that sisterhood again, it will come to me naturally. And I will say there is some fear going into it because like you don't want to make the same mistakes that you made before. I don't want to fall short again in friendships. I don't want to lose any more friendships. I don't think I could handle it personally. Like, I think I've had all of the platonic loss I can handle in my lifetime. And I do think some of the sadness comes from the loss of those friendships a couple years ago. Even though I feel like some of the decisions were for the best, it was still a big part of me that no longer exists. There are certain people who will always be seen by me as my platonic soulmates. us not speaking and hanging out will never change that. And so there's just so many pockets of sadness that I have that I'm trying to navigate. And it's like, I want to appreciate and enjoy life, but it's very hard to not have that sisterhood that I'm used to. But like I said, I think that when God is ready for me to walk down that path again with friendships, then that path will be presented to me. So I just have to like learn some patience and find happiness where I can, that's not rooted in those friendships that I don't have. So yeah, that was raw. That was real. I am so nervous to post this, but I do feel like it's like such an important conversation, and it is something that's really impacting me, and I made this channel to be able to really talk in depth about these things. So I hope that one person watching this video can relate. If you guys have any recommendations on where I can go as a Black queer woman in DC to socialize and find other girls like me, let me know in the comments. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe, and I will see y'all next time.